Live. Hey there, folks. Jordan Sheridan. Status Coup. Election night here in Buffalo. Go ahead. Okay. Election night here in Buffalo. I'm in front of the main event banquet hall where India Walton is holding her campaign event. Huh? Yeah, go ahead. The main event in Buffalo, and not gonna lie, not looking swell, not looking good for India Walton at the moment. Early voting, she was down to the write-in candidate, which is predominantly Byron Brown. 35% for India Walton, 65% for Byron Brown. And right now in the actual election day totals, with about 87% of the votes counted, she's down by 20. So unless something miraculous happens, does not look like she will win mayor here in Buffalo, which, you know, I said quite often I don't want to predict because I thought it was a coin toss. But according to the numbers now, she is down by 20 with 87%. Let me get the exact numbers for you because it keeps changing. I'm looking at the Erie County Board of Elections. Let Jen know we're live too. I'm looking at the Erie County Board of Elections. Hold on. Yeah, so 87% of the vote-in on Election Day. India Walton's a little over 40%. The write-in candidate, which is the mayor, almost 60%. So that's 21,000, a little over 21,000 total votes for India Walton between Election Day and early voting, and almost 32,000 for write-in candidate, which is Byron Brown, the mayor. On Election Day specifically, the write-in candidate has 21,806, and India Walton has 16,260. So that's 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. That's a little over a 5,000 vote advantage for the write-in candidate on Election Day. And if you don't know the history, India Walton beat the current mayor in the primary. And instead of gracefully accepting the results, you know, democracy, he refused to accept it and ran a write-in campaign. He's a 4-term incumbent, 16 years in office, and is very, very well funded. So he has had a flood of money coming to him, including Republicans. Republicans like Carl Palladino, who's a major Trump supporter. If you remember Carl Palladino back in the day, he was asked what his wish for 2017 was. He wished death to Obama and Michelle Obama. He's a major Trumper. He poured in 10 grand recently. Other Republicans have been pouring money into the Democratic mayor to try and stop India Walton. So it looks like they're going to be victorious. I will say her being down by 20, early voting, which was started a week ago and ended on Halloween, she lost by 5,000 votes. And on Election Day, as of right now, she's losing by a little over 5,000 votes. So in total, she's down 10,000 votes. And Buffalo, I think, has 250,000 people in it. So you're talking total votes. Total votes in the city will be over 50,000, which is pretty low for a city of over 200,000. But yeah, I mean, what can I say? I've been here for a few days. I think there's a lot of things going on here. First and foremost, this is a pretty unusual situation. Typically, when there's been an upset where a progressive beat the incumbent in the primary, that incumbent didn't run a write-in campaign. But Byron Brown, as the mayor, who's been mayor for 4 terms, this will be his 5th term, he had a lot of advantages over India Walton. First, just being here for several days, I can tell you the media has been completely in the tank for Byron Brown. Just being inside. By the way, the reason we're outside, I don't really know why, but India Walton's campaign separated the press from the actual event with supporters, so I didn't feel like sitting in a separate room with a bunch of local reporters who, listening to them do their reports for their local networks, all they were talking about is that she was a socialist. So I was like, fuck it, let's go outside. I can't listen to these people anymore. The local reporters, that is. But basically, the truth is the mayor did not even campaign really during the primary. He took India Walton for granted. And she won, not only because he didn't really campaign, but there wasn't a huge turnout in the primary. A lot of the mayor's voters did not come out because they just expected him to very easily glide to victory. So in polls that came out recently, it showed he was up significantly in the polls. And in the last poll that came out, 43% of those polled didn't vote in the primary, which shows, kind of indicated you were going to have a lot of Byron Brown supporters come out that did not vote in the primary. The second thing is crime is a major problem in Buffalo. In the polls, crime was a top issue, and Byron Brown and his campaign have been hammering her, in my view, dishonestly, with the whole defund the police thing. Even though she's not calling to defund the police, she has been basically calling for reallocating funds within the police department to essentially try and maybe get older people on the force to retire, cut overtime so there's not excessive overtime, and shift resources so you didn't have police officers responding for mental health calls, you guys come, it's all right. So mental health calls, social type calls that should require social workers. But that, which is basically what a lot of progressives have called for, that has been very, very simply hammered over her head as defund the police. She also, frankly, has been hammered with the term socialism, which I know there's a lot of progressives out there, a lot of them online, who think the problem is, and progressives are losing in local races because they're not going left enough, right? They're not going scorched earth enough. I mean, all I can tell you, just being in these places, Cleveland, where Nina Turner lost, here with India Walton, other races I've covered, a lot of voters agree with progressives on the issues, but do not take kindly to the word socialism. We could have a debate about whether we should spend the time to educate them or not, but a lot of voters get spooked by the term socialism. There's been a lot of propaganda about what socialism is and isn't by the media for the last 30, 40 years, and that is why candidates like Byron Brown hammer people like India Walton with socialism, and it works. It works. Kyle Kalinske said, maybe Bernie shouldn't have ran focusing on socialism. Maybe he should have just said, I'm a social democrat. But a lot of progressives don't like that. They think, that's selling out, or that's, whatever, we should run scorched earth. Well, I'm telling you, in a lot of communities like Buffalo, not so different than Cleveland. It's about 2.5 hours from Cleveland. It's a working class city, but it's not exactly a hippy dippy progressive city. They don't particularly, they might agree with more social services. They might agree with, modest tax increases. They don't like you're nodding your head. You want to come on? Come on in.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, we're live.
Oh, jeez. Oh.
You were not in your head, so I wanted to have you on. So I was just telling, what's your name?
Marquise,
Jordan.
pleasure.
So I was just telling the audience, a lot of people in communities like this maybe agree with India Walton on certain things, but they get spooked by the word socialism, defund the police, all these things.
Absolutely.
So to me, it looks like she's going to lose. It looks like the mayor was very successful in focusing on socialism and defund, and basically distracting from the fact that this is a really poor city and he's been the mayor this whole time.
Yes, and that is one of the key things. So I actually am a political commentator. Okay. So that's one of the things that I noticed the most about what we witness when it comes to progressive races is that I feel like we try to put our best foot forward, and we got to realize that we're not playing a game with people who put their best foot forward. They know how to undermine the good values that we have to spin a different message. I hate to say it, but I feel like progressives always lack in that. They have the heart, I want to change the city, but you don't have the ethics to play the game that the other side is playing. It's easy for me to bash you down because people don't understand it. I feel like we should come out and be more understanding towards people. And look, I understand that voting. I just did a bunch of canvassing for India today, earlier today, and a lot of people said, "Oh, I'm not voting because voting doesn't change anything." I think more candidates that are progressive, who follow the socialist mode, who want to represent the socialist ideals, to share capitalism has failed you and I think this would be a better system for you. You have to tell them why. And I noticed that, as you were saying, that's why I was nodding my head, because you were saying that, people probably agree with you on everything, but you're not giving them a reason to say that would be a better place for us to be in. Right. You're giving them, the accolade that I can change things. We've heard people can change things all the time. And that's, a change. As I always say, oh, Obama ran on change. But where was the change?
Well, can I also mention, you're a commentator, I'd love to know what you think. There's something I think is missing, and that's not literally, punching them in the face with their corruption. Yeah. I mean, Byron Brown is corrupt. I mean, let's just call it, if you're not from Buffalo, let me just explain it. This man has been in here for 16 years. There's been multiple investigations of his administration. He was politically in bed with Cuomo. $1 billion came into Buffalo that was supposed to go towards, investing and working people and things like that. Somehow a lot of the money went to Byron Brown's donors. I saw India Walton kind of sort of mention that he's corrupt, but for non-voters like that, yeah, you're going to need something to make you think someone's different, but why not call your opponent what they are, and why not explain the reason you don't have a working sewer system, the reason you don't have transportation services, the reason you can't drive in the street because your tires will go flat, is because this man or woman is selling you out.
That's it. And I feel like progressives try to play take the high road. We take the high road. We could go all the way from Joe Biden all the way down. It's always the high road. We will never stoop to their level. But that's why these right wing.
They will.
Yeah, right. They will. That's why they get the money. That's why they get you're going to snake them? That can help us in the long run. You have to make the community feel like you're investing in them. You have to make the community feel like, if I don't do this, I'm going to lose out. I was just saying this earlier, I don't know this campaign as deeply as I do, but I know it from the other side of it, the online side of it. It's all of us trying to somehow make sense of everything that a person tells us. This is wrong, and this is how it can be fixed. No, this is in your power. It's wrong because you voted in this guy who's really horrible. That's the honest truth. And I'm here because I want to fix everything, and then I want to leave. Right. I want to go vacation in Canada, and I'm out. Be honest with people.
Well, also, correct me if I'm wrong, Carl Palladino, who's about as Trumpy and racist as they come, in 2017, I mean, I'm not an Obama fan, but whatever, he did call for Obama and Michelle Obama to die just a few years ago. I mean, the current mayor is accepting money from him, and I think Obama's fairly popular in Buffalo, so why weren't you making that part of your campaign? I mean, the bottom line is, a lot of people will look at this and say, well, Jordan, no, she should have ran more scorched earth. She should have embraced that she's a socialist. No, why? People don't know because the local media is terrible. I mean, I came outside because I can't be next to these people. And I've seen it all over the country. They're not going to inform the people of this corruption. They just make it seem like, oh, it's normal that they take money from all these developers and this and that.
We don't call these things out. There's an imbalance in not only the power of, you and your job provider, but there's a power imbalance between you and literally what you can say about, anything that's going on. Make that more obvious. I'm not telling you that you should vote for me because I'm going to improve things. I'm telling you that the reason why your life is so, crappy is because the person that you voted in, not thinking about it, has been ruining your quality of life. Let's talk about the things that actually, matter. And yes, I understand, you don't want to go for an attack campaign, tit for tat, but it's look at, I've never been to Buffalo before today. And I look around the city, I thought I was going to see, a grand thing. And it's people are hurting. This feels like Cleveland to me. This feels like Chicago to me. You know, I saw a couple of people that I didn't even know recognized me from the internet, and they were like, "You still got to stay safe around here. There's no way we could." Like, why is that?
It's a tale of two cities. I've been to Flint many times, Detroit, Cleveland. I mean, you go downtown, it's wonderful. A renaissance, right? Buffalo's coming back. Drive 15 minutes down the road. I mean, some of these parts look like Fallujah.
Sir, we just went through. I think it was a part that like burned down. Like, focus on that. Like, we could have affordable housing here. I'm not telling you we should give affordable housing. These specific addresses are where we're going to focus on this project. This is how much it costs. If the other guy gets elected, you are not getting that. Make people feel like their vote changes something, as opposed to like, I could be the one to invoke change. No, you want like this, then you have to vote this way.
And what do people like India Walton do about defund the police and socialism? Because this has been the two things I've seen over the last 2 years, hammered at progressives, socialists, whatever. And it doesn't. To me, it doesn't seem like progressives really have an answer for it. She embraced it, but didn't find a way to neutral. All I've heard on the radio over the last few days, socialists, local TV, socialists, and to me, how do progressives kind of say, yeah, so what? Let's focus on this.
Embrace the ideas. Instead of telling people like, yeah, it's, I always go with the Bernie thing. Socialism, ooh, you can't be scared of it. Apply it to the way people ingest information. I know it sucks and like you really need a lot of like social media campaigners. You need to know how to run a media but like, be honest. Hey, you're gonna hear a lot of bad things about socialism. Here are all the lies and how to debunk them from my own mouth. I'm not telling you this because I want you to vote for me. I'm telling you this because it's the honest truth. And you should at least know the honest truth before you do anything else.
Also, how about telling them, no. I'm a democratic socialist. The mayor, he's the socialist. You want to know why? You know what socialism is? It's redistributing money. Your money. Yes. The people of Buffalo, your money that, your taxpayer dollars, it's literally going to real estate developers. He is taking your money and handing it to because it's not just that they're giving tax cuts to real estate developers. They're literally handing them money. It's not just cuts, grants, subsidies from the city. So that's called socialism. You're not from Buffalo,
right?
It's the people on the east side in the poor parts of Buffalo, the people in the deindustrialized parts of Buffalo, Cleveland, South Bend, Flint, Detroit. Your money is being redistributed to developers, to political donors, and that's being called economic renewal.
And you could even take it a step further. So you hear all these horror stories about it, but it's like, hey, remember when we talked about how like your jobs are leaving and what are the reasons for them? They're taking more money and then paying cheaper labor than taking and raking in all the profits. You get a really terrible building that you have to like find people to live in. You call it low affordable housing, and then you get people used to this low standard of living. Oh, at least it's cheap, but it's like you could have put more effort into it with the money that was actually allocated for it. Look around. Like, I feel like, yeah, that's where these campaigns lack. That's where progressives lack. They don't want to go on the attack because they feel like that makes them look like the Republicans. That makes them look like the enemy, Oh, I thought you guys were the guys of peace. Like, we're not playing a peaceful game. You're trying to do it to make yourself look nice, but explain to people, hey, you think this is socialism? Well, let me show you real socialism. It's happening on an economic scale. I'm going to explain it to you in like a 5-year-old. So you can understand it and say, at least even if I don't care, I know I'm not voting, or at least I'm not wasting my time actually putting forth an effort to go to these polls, to choose somebody who won't mess me up in the long run. And I don't see that happening. I can see that in like the way the people, like you were saying, that's why I was really nodding with you, because it's obvious. And they don't want to do that because it makes them feel like they're aggressive, they're attackers. We want to be the peaceful kind. We don't want to start, insurrections, riots, but we should.
Well, you know what? I hate, it would take a lot for me to credit Donald Trump on anything, but you want to know what? Donald Trump won. We could debate the reasons. There was some racism. There was also a lot of deindustrialization. He won also by fucking punching the Republican Party in the face and punching Hillary, not literally, but figuratively punching Hillary Clinton in the face.
The attack, it makes them look like people like that.
People want to fight her.
Yeah, they want like the reality TV show. They like that, and that's okay. That's fine. The way the people go, the way the people discuss things, the way discourse happens, the way we get down to really understanding how you and I should communicate, that can grow over time. And that's so fine for people to like the hard fighter, you know, I'm not scared of anything, and literally everything you say, I can knock down in a second. That's fine.
But can I also ask you, just broadening this, because we've basically Terry McAuliffe, who good. I mean, he's a corrupt best friend of the Clintons, so I don't really care that he lost. But doesn't this have national parallels? Because I've been saying for months, you know, the Squad and Bernie Sanders, like, you're not dealing with people operating in good faith. Like, Joe Manchin is a political terrorist. I mean, Kirsten Sinema, whatever she is. So you're not dealing with people that are... You like taking pictures of us? You're not... Okay. You're not dealing with... Like, you're dealing with fucking sharks, corrupt sharks. You're dealing with people who literally are willfully allowing the planet to burn so that they can make money. You're dealing with people who are allowing people to starve, to die during pandemics, to go without basic necessities. So why aren't you in West Virginia holding massive rallies calling them corrupt? Like, and it you know, I don't think, you know, hindsight's 20/20. There's a lot of reasons that India Walton lost, frankly. But Byron Brown had more money than God from Republicans. He's a 4-term incumbent, 16 years, name brand. He had a lot of money to do a write-in campaign. But also part of it is, for those non-voters who need some type of inspiration, I don't know, they might be galvanized towards a fighter, somebody who is calling the problem what it is, corruption, calling the problem what it is, selling our city to basically wealthy white folk. So to me, the progressives, whatever you want to call it, socialists, progressives, whatever, I think that they're trying to kind of play this inside game instead of calling your political enemy corrupt, explaining, no, the reason you don't have these things is because they're depriving you of it. And, oh, by the way, these things that you're saying are losers, they're polling at 80%.
So it goes, everything you said is on point. I'm going to take it a step deeper. It's because they don't want to look like they're exactly the opposite side. Oh, we play the truth game. We're showing you what we have to offer. If we go to yelling at them, if we go to yelling at that other side, oh, I guess it's tit for tat. We'll never know who's really telling the truth. We're all just barking at each other. No, you have a responsibility to say, hey, I'm okay with losing an election. I'm letting you know right now, the person you elected, this is what they're going to do. And that's it. I'm tired of like going through this entire game with progressives and socialists, like, you know, oh, we live for this, but when we get in office, you know, Joe Manchin, Chris, is it like, when we get in office, it's, okay, we'll take care of this, we'll take care of that, you know, in time, and you have the power. Like, when they get the power, when Republicans use the power, and again, I understand what you said about that. It's hard for me to credit Donald Trump with anything, but they galvanized them, they used them, they got what they wanted, and there was no stopping them. They didn't hesitate and say, maybe this will look bad. They don't care about what it looks like as long as it gets done. We can argue the semantics of everything else later, much later. Democrats, socialists, the left in general needs to power themselves up to be able to fight harder about these things that they so care about, because you can't worry about risking elections on maybe people don't understand this. Find a way to explain it. Get the youth in. Go to schools. Go to educate the neighborhood. Like, do something that...
You know what else, though? And this is the truth. And I said this during 2 Bernie... People say, oh, you're a Bernie bro. I mean, I criticized Bernie for 2 campaigns. The problem is, it sounds nice to run a positive campaign. It sounds nice to run on the issues. You know what? Negative campaigning works. Sorry. You know what? Yes, run on the issues that you want to raise taxes by 3% to fund social services, that you want to reallocate the police budget, all that stuff. But you know what works even better than that? Literally calling your opponent what he or she is, and that's corrupt. Saying, hey, you know why this city has the 3rd highest poverty rate? Because this man has literally sold the city to real estate developers to basically make 10 blocks beautiful downtown so that yuppie white people could move in at your expense. and say it during debates and say it in commercials and actually go aggressively against them. This doesn't mean you have to, go after them personally, but if they're going to be corrupt and they're going to make political decisions at your expense, why are you holding back? And I said this about Bernie, and guess what? A lot of people don't remember this, but during the last campaign, Bernie Sanders was actually closing the gap between Biden among older voters who he could never get. Towards the end, Bernie was closing the gap between older voters. You want to know why? Because he and his campaign were hammering Biden on TV, online, everywhere, over the fact that Biden had tried to freeze Social Security for 30 years. I mean, the ads were direct and negative. But then during debates, he kept calling him my friend. And he kept, so it's kind of like there is, Nina Turner, she lost. There's a lot of reasons she lost, but she was winning when she was going on air criticizing her opponent. So I think progressives need to realize activism is great, issues are great, kumbaya is great, but if you're not willing to go to a knife fight with a knife, like a political one, not a real knife fight, if you're going to keep going holding a spoon, and I do think, listen, also I'm a white dude, so it might be more difficult to do that as black women because they might be attacked as, angry black women, this and that. I know that was a thing with Nina Turner and other black candidates. So I'm not taking that away. But progressives in general, I mean, you can keep running on the issues, but the media is going to keep focusing on propaganda against you. So you need to figure out a way to counteract that. Any parting thoughts?
Definitely. I agree with everything you're saying, and I also appreciate what you just mentioned about there are other factors in how people perceive things, but we can't be afraid of how that people perceive things, because what are we fighting for? We need to make that the norm. You're always, I'll say it out loud, you're always going to get a sassy black candidate, because I'm tired of playing your game of, hey, I'm here to be a person who talks the issues and is no. I've seen my people suffer in these streets for so long. I've seen my people hurt and in pain and don't have enough on Social Security, don't got enough on food stamps. Who created the rule? Why are they feeling hurt? Why are they turning to drugs? Why are they turning to this? Why isn't my household the way it should be? I see all these people growing up in these nice questions about us and humanity. You need that anger. Because people are going to see that, they're going to see a debate on YouTube, and they're going to be like, wow, whoa, I didn't know there was somebody like that out there. Oh, I don't really care about their position. I care that they sound like they give a damn. I care that they sound like, okay, wow, socialism, I've heard bad things about that, but I know this person's character.
And they sound different.
And they sound different. They sound like they're not here to rake in the cash and then sit in the seat and be like, well, I tried. They sound like they're going to be with me. They're down here. Wow, nobody ever cares about us down here. I'm not doing anything else but fixing down here first. Then we'll worry about the other people or whatever they got. But here's my priority. And if you vote me in, if you elect me, this is my place. I'm not making no rules for the 1%. I'm not making no rules that they can all leave them alone. They're fine, right? I'm focused on caring about the people who need to be cared about, and that's it. Then I'm bouncing, I'm going on vacation.
Let me ask you one more thing, because in this election specifically, I think it should be mentioned. When Democrats rigged primaries twice against Bernie, whatever, the whole chorus line is, you fall the fucking line. Not you, but, progressives, shut up. It's time to unite, knock it off, and you fall in line and vote for us. Well, India Walton beat Byron Brown in the primary fair and square. And instead of gracefully going into the night as a lobbyist, like Joe Crowley did when AOC beat him, he wouldn't accept the election. He wouldn't fall in line. Not until 2 weeks ago did the even Democratic Party endorse her. Schumer, Gillibrand, the Democratic governor from Buffalo would not endorse her. So seems like they have this fall in line if it's a corporate candidate who wins the primary. But if it's a progressive or a socialist who wins, the rules are rewritten. I mean, I was talking to someone earlier, don't even get me started, who said, no, it's democracy. A Republican should have a say on who wins, whatever. So to me, I don't know. I mean, midterms next year, I don't really want to hear from the Democratic Party if a Democratic corporate Democrat wins in the primary. I don't want to hear from them that progressives need to fall in line and vote for them in the general.
It's because of where the money's coming from. I love that. I love that thought. Exactly. Because, excuse me, you had the power to make a lot of changes. And now that you feel your power is being threatened, you want us to, let's just keep the power. Let's just keep the balance. Like, no, take the loss. Take the loss, throw the country into more chaos. Make sure you understand the actual demographic of where you messed up, where people like India Walton failed, where people like the other guy, sorry, I'm not from here, apologize. People like that were able to capitalize on that hatred. Were able to capitalize on the things that you so vehemently cared about, but your people weren't saying it. You weren't saying it. Every mention you need to have, anytime somebody looks up your name, needs to be about, hey, these were problems and issues that this person caused. Now look at what happened. They were able to slip right under the aggressive, negative campaign. Even if I lose the election, the nominee itself, I get to go up higher. I get to continue. I'm winning the race itself. Right. And that is so strange to me that so yeah, I have to go. That's my boss. But thank you I appreciate the time. I appreciate that. That was a good conversation.
I want to know if you have a YouTube channel or anything.
Do I? Yes. The Paradigm Shift. Twitch.tv/the_paradigm_shift and on YouTube at the Paradigm Shift.
Colin, before I wrap, give him my number. I want to talk to him. So over there, off camera, so people don't get my number. Thanks, man. So, what's unbelievable is you need to understand something. That kind of talk is very, very real. You need to know. Candidates like India Walton, she ran a brave campaign. But we're only going to win if we start calling our opponent out by name. Corrupt. Capital C. And Byron Brown had a lot of advantage. He had the fact that he was a 4-term incumbent, the fact that he's been in office for 16 years, a lot of advantages. And she ran a brave campaign. But at the end of the day, progressives are going to have to decide, do they want to? I'm not talking about scorched earth in terms of not being able to, have a message on issues. You want to be able to resonate with people on issues. But you're going to have to start calling your opponent corrupt. Period, end of story. And if you can't do that, what you see is what you're going to get. So, let me make sure I'm not missing anything before I go. Okay, the numbers are still, let me make sure I'm giving you the most up-to-date numbers. Hold on. One second. Election results. The results I have. Before I go. Why do they have it at the bottom of the thing? Yeah, so 96%. 96% on election day. She's down by 20. So the results are almost fully in. They might have called it, I don't know, since I've been live out here. But with 96%, she's down by 20. So listen, I'm glad we came here. I'm glad we covered this really, really important election to cover. We'll keep covering it. It's important to show you the fight. It's important to show you the fight. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you when I get